Disclaimer here in this video, you will see me talking to the side. It looks like my camera got disconnected, and so we're still going to learn and grow from this video. It's just too good not to put it out, and I am trying to practice done is better than perfect. And so welcome to the Locker Room Podcast, and I'm actually talking to the side this whole time, and it's okay.
Have you ever been told that you need to dance more full out? Yes? Because same. The question is, when you're told to dance more full out, do you know what that means in your body? How to perform with full out execution? How to dance more full out? If you don't, it's okay. You are in the right space, and we're going to go over what I call the 3 P's to perform. And so the first P is performing with polish. So if you've been in the TCC bubble for any length of time, you may have heard of the LCS process. And for the most part, it is what most teams go through to make a routine field or court ready. They go through their own process, but it mostly has the same elements. So you learn a routine, you clean the routine, and then you set it for the game. And most of us just live in the learning portion. So you learn a routine, you learn a routine, you learn a routine. Most of the times in class, you take a class, you learn the routine, you perform in small groups, you could say, yay, good job, and then you leave and you never revisit the routine. However, that does you a disservice because you don't get to actually work the muscle of memory retention and performing it like a mate and being able to be a cohesive unit. And as far as I know, no other program actually allows you to go through the cleaning process outside of ours. And so that is one of the reasons why it is part of our foundational program, Silently Ready, because it only sets you up for success. The dancers who you admire who are on a team right now, they go through this process every single time they do a routine, and they're just getting better and better at it. And so the best thing for you to do is start implementing it now before you even head into auditions, so you are just one step ahead of everyone else in the room. And so first, let's talk about the LCS process. So performing with polish really leans into that cleaning process. So that is the difference of your little cinnamon rolls to the front versus your big cinnamon rolls to the ceiling. If you are blades, I can sometimes see, not sometimes, 99% of the time, I can see someone's thumbs or their pinkies if they're up, or if your elbows are drooping down, right? A lot of the movements in the pro dance space are consistently the same. A half T is a half T is a half T, right? Or a full T is a full T is a full T. A low V is a low V versus here. All of these shapes and placements are consistent across the board. They are just executed differently dependent on the choreography. And so when you are able to get these pieces, these fundamental pieces in your body over and over again, you don't have to be looking in the mirror to know, okay, am I doing this move correctly? Because whether your eyes are closed or open, or if you're at a mirror or not, you know that you are doing it correct every single time. And ultimately, becoming a master in these movements is the goal for you to be at that professional level. And so the cleaning portion of the LCS process really gets it ingrained in your body so you know exactly what you're doing every single time that movement and shape comes up. So I want you to think of auditions as an iceberg, right? And you have here, this is your iceberg, right? The audition portion is truly just the tip of the iceberg, right? So going through the audition, making the team, right? You got making the team. And honestly, there's your resume, there's your headshots, there's your execution, there's your performance, all those things that come with making the team. Then you have learning the routine fast, and then learning routines over and over again throughout the entire season, cleaning each routine that you learn. You have time management. Don't even get me started on that, okay? You have appearances. And I'm writing these all around on this little iceberg, okay? Then you also have like being a good teammate. You have being coachable, performing under pressure. All these things live under the tip of the iceberg, which is actually getting you onto the team. And so a lot of us think like, once I make it onto the team, that's just going to be like, I'm good. That is so much further than the truth, because it truly is the tip of the iceberg to get you to the whole bottom of the iceberg, which is like so big. You can't even imagine the things that you need to know, and you'll learn them on the team. But how can you just chip away at that iceberg at the very top to be able to get to the bottom and have things be a little bit easier for you? And that's why we also have the cleaning process. So then when you do make it onto a team, you just can go so much faster, so much freer, and be able to have a little bit of a weight lifted off your chest in that regard. And the really cool thing is that once you learn cleaning, it helps you actually learn choreography faster, because you're going to be so focused on the details versus, okay, let me just make sure I'm doing the movements. You're going to be honed in on the heads, the shapes, the shoulders, the knees, the toes, all of those little placements that is going to ultimately free you up and make learning choreography so much easier because you're focused on those details. So then when you clean it, you're like, cool, I'm ready to go. And when you know this process and you show up clean like the other veterans around you, then you have the judges asking, wait, was this person not even on the team last year? That is ultimately the feeling that you want to give the judges, of them questioning, wait, I don't think I've ever seen this person before on the team, but they look so cohesive to the dancers around them who are veterans that I wouldn't even know that they weren't already on the team, right? That's how you want to show up. Okay, so the LCS process, you learn the routine. You then clean it for at least an hour. You're going through 8 count by 8 count by 8 count. And we're going from head, shoulders, knees, toes, ankles, placements, right? Even like where your eyeballs are, okay? Because look, if I'm looking straight down versus this, see that little tilt in my head? That makes a difference of you being cohesive with your teammates. And ultimately, you're auditioning to be on a team and not be a soloist. You can be a really amazing dancer and be able to gel with the team that you are on, so you look like that unit. And then you have the set. So for a game day experience, you will set the routine. Oftentimes you might be learning a routine from years past, or you're learning a routine from a choreographer, and they'll place you in formation. But you don't necessarily know if all of those dancers are going to be at that game on that day, right? For that routine. And so you might get plucked, you might get moved, you might get put in a different roll off. And the set before the game is really where the cleaning and the learning comes into full effect, right? Had you not learned it the way that you clean it and then cleaned it, you would be setting yourself up for a disservice, because when you game set it and then you have to reverse it, you need to know the routine so well in your brain that you ultimately can do it opposite. You can go down instead of going up. All of those things come to life during the set and on the court. And so having the routine so ingrained in your body through the cleaning process is, again, what ultimately sets you up for success down the line. And I can't tell you how many times I, on the day of the game, had been the one who was moved because I knew the cleans in my body so well. And over the 8 seasons that I was on a team, you better bet I was roll off change, I was formation change, I was moved. And sometimes it was even on a game day, if someone got hurt, if someone got sick, I was the one who was relied on to be that change. I was in the NBA for 8 seasons. And for those of you who don't know my story, I actually didn't make it the first time I auditioned. I auditioned for the Phoenix Suns and made it to be out of 30 dancers to make it to finals. And I honestly thought I was one of the best dancers in the room. And I didn't know everything that it took outside of dance to actually make it onto a team, which is another story for another day. But I really thought that being of 30 and they were taking 18 or 16, I can't remember. I was like, oh, I totally got this in the bag. And I didn't get selected my first season auditioning. However, I was asked to be part of the Upper Bowl arena team. And at the same time, while I was a sensational, and I was upstairs, I took as many classes, I got in front of as many coaches as I possibly could, in front of the judges, learning and growing and taking as much feedback as I possibly could to show them the next year that I was the person that they needed me to be and that they wanted to have on their team through my actions that I took the last year. And I ended up making it. However, when I auditioned for my second season to be a veteran, I didn't make it back on the team. And that next day, I packed up my stuff at school, packed a suitcase. It was like this pink suitcase. I remember it so vividly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go try out for the Warriors, and I can always go back to school, but dance is not always going to be an opportunity for me. And so I packed up my stuff, moved home, and ended up being with the Warriors for 7 seasons and the assistant coach for 3 years. And I tell you this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that your trajectory might not be what you think it's going to be. And that is the very thing that has put me in this seat right now in front of you. Had I stayed on Suns, had I not taken a leap of faith and gone to the Warriors, had I just been like, you know what, cool, I guess I'm not cut out to be a veteran or be on a team again, and heard that no and let it defeat me, I would not be sitting here in front of you. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. Even if it's not the pathway that you think it's going to be, it most never is going to be that linear path that you have planned out for you. And know that it is the exact course that you're supposed to be on. And so to get from being told no at Suns for my veteran season to making it on Warriors, I was able to get super direct feedback on what I personally needed to work on. I had coach's eyes on me, and she said, you are not dancing full out. You're not dancing full out. This is what full out means. This is how you get low. This is how you give execution. This is how you dance with power. And we're going to be talking about all those things. But I needed an outside perspective to really tell me and show me and guide me to, this is what you're missing. And if you've heard me say this before, it's worth hearing it again. You are inside your bottle, okay? You're inside this bottle, and the inside of this bottle is silver, okay? However, the outside of this bottle, we'll call it tan, right? Only because we are on the outside of the bottle can we see that this is tan. I am inside my bottle. You are inside your bottle, and you're like, cool, it's silver. You need the outside perspective to say, actually, this is what it looks like on the outside to everyone else. And that is what a coach does for you. A coach is the one who's in your corner telling you what you need to work on, what you need to change. They're going to challenge you to be the best that you can possibly be. And they're also going to be the one who tells you the things that you don't necessarily want to hear. So I mentioned that the coach said, okay, you're not dancing well, right? And honestly, it was a shock to me because I was just dancing how I've always been dancing. And the transition from studio to pro and college to pro can be a challenge for a lot of dancers. And you're like, but I'm so technically advanced. And that does not matter because the people up in the nosebleeds need to be able to see you. And that is dancing powerfully. So in my opinion, dancing with power comes from 3 spaces. It comes from your levels, it comes from your energy, and it comes from your execution. Okay. So your levels, if you are in this like middle ground playing field the entire time, it's not going to look like anything. Levels is what makes the performance dynamic. It makes the performance powerful. And so it is such a huge opportunity for you to say, okay, how can I get lower when the choreographer says get low? How can I get higher when the choreographer says we're up on our toes? That low and that high and that mid and the dimension between the 3 is going to be the thing that helps you look like a more powerful and full out dancer. Okay, next you have your energy. If you cannot dance 150% full out energy for a 1:10 routine, you do not have the stamina that you need to have to perform at this level. And your stamina comes from strength and it comes from your cardio. And so those 2 pieces are so essential, especially at auditions. And then when you make it onto the team, you have sidelines. You're going to be going for around and around for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depending if it's a TV timeout. The stamina has to be there. And it's oftentimes one of the things that catches dancers off guard because you're like, oh, I'm doing cardio all day long because of dance. It's totally different. And so don't be afraid of strength training. Lifting heavy weights will not make you bulky. It will give you the strength to be able to do the levels, to be able to dance with execution, which we're going to talk about. The strength in your legs, the strength in your back, all gives you the power to perform with full out energy. Okay. So your strength and then you have your stamina. Stamina comes from like HIIT. You don't want to be doing a 30 or 45-minute HIIT class. You want to be doing small, short intervals that replicate what you're going to be experiencing at auditions and on a team. So can you do 10 minutes on the treadmill? You go up an incline for 5 minutes, you go down an incline for 5 minutes, and you keep it at a steady state. Or you go 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and play around with the speed, with the incline. All of those things will manipulate how your cardiovascular system adapts to the process. And in the long run, it will help you have the stamina to be able to have the energy to perform full out. Okay. And then lastly, you have your execution. So If you are just listening to my voice, you might want to tune into YouTube because I'm going to show you the difference between this and this. You see the difference? Bringing your arms to a half T and bringing them to a half T with intention and power look completely different. So you can be doing a move technically right. Most of the dancers that I see on auditions, you know how to actually execute the movements, but you're not executing them with full out execution and power and energy that is needed at the pro level. And that is ultimately why you get cut from auditions. Speaking of getting cut, if you want to know why you're getting cut, I am hosting a free masterclass. If you check out the show notes below, you can sign up for the masterclass there, or you can DM me at the Cultivate Code, and we're going to be talking about all the reasons why you're getting cut from auditions, and you do not want to miss it, okay? So the execution piece is oftentimes this thing that I see that holds a lot of the technically trained dancers back. And it's just because you think that you're actually doing the movements, which you are, but you're not doing them correct for the pro dance style and the execution that is needed, again, to be seen in the nosebleed. All right, last P of the 3 Ps is performing with presence. And so that includes your facials and it includes your musicality. So your facials, a lot of us think that it's just from our neck up, right? We're smiling, we're sassy, we're grimy, we're giddy, we're doing all those things. Yes, and it also is your entire body. Last night, I was actually watching a dancer who was in one of our classes, and I could feel the movement in her body, but nothing was going on in her face. And oftentimes that can happen, or the reverse of like, you're giving me face, but it's not being executed through your body, and like the music isn't being exuded from your body to translate the movement. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a little bit in the musicality, but facials also are very dependent on the team in the league. NFL tends to be a little bit more smiley, unless like Raiderettes, you can be sassy, you can be sexy. I think Miami, you can do that a little bit. And then you have some teams who only want you to smile the whole time, and that's totally fine too. But also knowing the performance style of the team that you're going for, because you don't want to go into an audition and not know what their performance preference is. And so practicing that ahead of time and getting comfortable. And I tell this to our dancers in our program all the time, because as soon as the routine gets hard, or as soon as you start thinking, your face drops. So you want to be able to have a smile on your face the entire routine, even if it's just, oh my gosh, I just need to get through this. Is the smile reaching my eyes? No, it's not. But how do you get that to be your baseline? And then you can start leveling up from there, adding different textures and different personality flares to your facials and your performance. But the baseline should always be that you have a smile on your face. So then when something does happen on auditions, which it will, and it's okay, that you have a smile on your face and you're not dropping and thinking and upset with yourself. So that's facials. Musicality, I've been saying this a lot lately, of the music dictates your movements, okay? The like boom, ha, versus like ha, ha, ha. Those are 2 different sounds that the music is literally telling you what the movement that the choreographer gave you. And so you need to be able to embody that in your performance, in the way that you move, to do the routine justice. Ultimately, the choreographer is going to give you a routine that has a vibe, and that vibe needs to be translated through your body, through your movement, and through your performance. And so musicality can be such a huge thing. And you need to know how to count music. You need to know how to hear music and count it, and be able to listen to beats, listen to counts, and be able to listen to the music and be able to switch between, because you could have a choreographer who has like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's on the counts, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 is on a backbeat and it's on a lyric, right? That is what makes you adaptable and an amazing performer, is being able to listen to the music, embody it, and then go and execute it in such a short amount of time. So that is musicality, okay? If this was helpful for you, again, let me know. So you have your 3 Ps: dancing with polish, dancing with power, and dancing with presence. I would love to hear what your favorite part is below. Let me know in the comments what your favorite part was or any aha moments that you had. I would love to hear it. And any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer it on the next episode. And then make sure that you are subscribed. If you're on YouTube, so hit that subscribe button. If you're on the podcast, make sure you are subscribed as well so you know every time another episode drops. And then if this was also helpful for you, make sure that you sign up for the free masterclass that we're having. Click in the show notes below, or you can DM me at the Cultivate Code, and you can just DM me the word masterclass and say hi and say, hey, I came from the podcast, and ask me any questions. I love hearing from you guys. So many of you have said that you come from a podcast, and I never know who's listening, who's watching. And so I would love for you to say hi and would love to just get to know you more. Can't wait to talk to you next week, and I'll see you soon.